it's me, Nita Rose, and welcome to my channel. And this is the manga review of Fairy Tail 100 Quest Volume 22. Starting out with Chapter 190 titled For Those We Hold Dear, and ending with Chapter 198 titled Bestia's Recollection. I will be analyzing and discussing my thoughts on this volume, so let us get started. So we have Gajou take Zero head on. They exchange fists back and forth, and Zero suggests that Gajou has joined forces with the Irrational Seis, but Gajou denied it. But Zero senses that his potential of becoming one of the members of the Irrational Seis. Gajou admits that he's not a fan of Natsu, but there is Levi, who is someone he cares more about than disliking Natsu. And he reminds Zero that there is nobody he cares about but himself. Zero causes a major explosion, pushing Gajou back as he's wondering how Natsu defeated him. And speaking of Natsu, we see him taking on the members of the Fire and Flames on his own. He managed to blow a few hits on them but gets trapped under the sisters' magic. But Gray and Urza attack the sisters and manage to free him. Two members came up behind him, but Natsu was ready to fight back, but Urza and Gray got to them. While Urza and Gray deals with them, Natsu goes after Wed as Natsu's fist is stopped as he's called them out for being fake dragons, which angers Wed. In a single panel, Urza asks the sisters what their reason is to fight, but they didn't say anything. But Wed answered all of them and said that they fight to create a world for only dragons. But Natsu said that's the reason why he called them fake dragons and tells them that the real dragons are kind and they don't hurt people. Wed screamed at him and Natsu tells him his reason for fighting, which is to fight to protect his friends and their survival. Wed gets pushed back but isn't down for long as he's not amused by Natsu's word of real dragons, and then the others joined him. The sisters started to notice the strength of Natsu's flame and how similar they are to theirs. Lucy and Wendy notice it as well when Wendy mentioned overlaps. In other words, there's a lot of flames going around. Wed tells them they don't know what real flames is, but Gray pointed to Natsu for being dangerous after hearing what Wed said about real flames, and Natsu being upset at first, but then fairly agrees with Gray. Urza demands for the town to be released, but the members of the Fire and Flames have other plans and burn the citizens within the town. This angered Natsu and the crew as Wed goes in for an attack saying that human lives are worthless. But Natsu stopped his attack and gave him a good kick. Lucy changed in her Stardust Aquarius form and joined Urza in the fight against the sisters. You know what? I don't think I ever seen an Urza-Lucy team up before. I was thinking back to the previous series and I can't remember if there was a team up between these two or not. But if there was, please let me know in the comments below, okay? While Gray deals with the Firemaker magic user as Wendy wanted to boost everybody's powers, but gets turned into a jellyfish. But Carla reminds her that it's all the guy's illusion magic. Wendy broke out of the illusion by using her Dragon Force. Also, is it just me, or is this a new form? Because I don't remember Wendy having wings before whenever she uses Dragon Force. She took down her opponent with her dragon slaying technique. Urza, Gray, and Lucy took down the other members as well, while Natsu unlocks his lightning flame ability and take out Wed as everyone and the crew finished the final blow, leaving everyone into victory. The town that has been burned turned out to be an illusion, but everybody is still dragonized and Wed's saying that it isn't over yet as Natsu is willing to go round 2. Natsu, come on, the guy can barely stand. Natsu and the others told Wed and the members about their quest to stop the dragons and their century-long threat. Wendy also said they were willing to get along with the dragons as Urza mentioned that Wendy and Natsu are the children that were raised by dragons and they don't kill their own kind out of hatred. But Natsu thinks of it as a test of strength. But Lucy and Gray in the background screaming, no it's not. Yeah, typical Natsu. But he also agreed that what Ignia is doing isn't right. And he also stated that he and his crew are not doing this for what is convenient for the humans, but it's fighting for survival. Wed is convinced that nobody will survive for long after the Calamity Bloods. Now we see Ignia with Misfortune following behind him as he stumbles upon a large crater and transforms back into his human form. There are 4 cracking spears in front of him and each one breaks open, revealing new characters. Misfortune sees them and looks surprised and terrified. These characters are dragons from 400 years ago during the fight with Acnologia, and was revived due to Dalramon's earth magic. magic. One of them asked Ignia who he was, and Ignia introduced himself. Another member asked what happened to Acnologia, and they learned from Ignia that he was defeated by humans. They were all shocked, of course, as they don't believe it. But then one of them mentioned that Acnologia was also human, so their powers are similar to the ones who defeated him. One of the dragons think that the ones who defeated Acnologia are considered a threat, which makes them think that why Ignia want their help. But Ignia advised of them that he can handle humans on his own. But he also advised them that the humans are much stronger when they're combined together, and that is how they defeated Acnologia. He also told the dragons that their powers have increased due to the earth magic, as they're all willing to join forces with him. Miss Fortune witnessed all this and she is more terrified. Now with Natsu and the others, Gray asks Wendy if she can use her magic on the people in town, but she can't do that as it seemed to be abnormal. But then Lucy remembered that the people from Elmira were dragon eyes that turned back to normal after the Lacrima was destroyed, and so Urza suggests that the Lacrima is inside Alderaan. Happy told him that Selene was heading there, and Urza suggests that they should head there as well. But Natsu told him no because he and Wendy can sense Mira, Elfman, Gajo, and Juvia and have them handle Alderaan, while Natsu suggests he and the others should handle Ignia. Natsu is ready to go after Ignia, but was stopped by Gray as he complained about running all the way there to find him. But then Elsiria, the law dragon, made an appearance within a familiar spot that he's fond with. Lucy rightfully gets angry and throws him into the ground. Urza realized that Elsiria can use teleportation magic as he heard everything they said. He can teleport them, but he needs Ignia's location. So Happy pointing towards a direction, but Carla is skeptical at the logic of Elsiria locating Ignia just from someone pointing. But to their surprise, that logic is real. But then Elsiria sees Alderaan as the crew was shocked by him to have noticed. Wendy mentions Selene, who he remembers back then as rephrased to all the time that the people died by the hands of the 5 dragons. But Gray told him that Selene and Markphobia are on the good side now. Urza told him that Selene and their other friends can handle Alderaan, and Natsu suggests that he and his group will deal with Ignia, and so with Elsiria's help, they teleport away. Wed and his team notice that the dragification is wearing off as they realize they have been defeated by the same people, but Wed is not giving up. While within Alderaan, there is still the fight between Mira, Elfman, and Gajo with their opponent. There is Selene dealing with Alderaan from the outside, and there's the fight between Bestia and Ferris. Bestia informed Ferris that her demon comrades have been reduced in half as teleported behind her and attacked her, but Ferris seemed unfazed. But Bestia struck behind her again and surrounded Ferris by a tornado of flames. But Ferris struck Bestia down with a single blow with Acnologia's power. Bestia falls to the ground as Ferris knows the group from below. Elsiria claims that this is as far as he can take them. Gray and Wendy and Natsu noticed someone on the ground and Happy identified her as Bestia. Carla noticed somebody in the sky, learning that it's Ferris. But then the ground started to shake as Ferris was also surprised by the set of an earthquake. The strange dark figures popping up out of the ground and surrounding the crew caused them to dragonize. Ferris realized that Ignia's true goal was lying within Alderaan. She also stated that the other Lacrimas were just decoys, and the real threat is submersion as the black substance spread across the continent, including towards the Diablo group, turning everyone into dragon-human hybrids. The entire continent has been cast over by the Earth Dragon's ultimate magic known as Universe Omega. The 400-year-old dragon started to put the pieces together about Ignia's plan of turning every single human into a dragon, and Ignia doesn't deny it. Ignia doesn't plan on killing Natsu just yet. He communicated with Bestia through telepath, and she suddenly grabbed Natsu and they disappeared through the flames. Lucy and the others saw the worst, but Ferris noticed they had been relocated. She headed towards Alderaan, claiming that she will take care of him. Lucy and the others are trapped within the substance as they can't use their magic to escape, but they are willing to rely on their friends who are fighting the demons within Alderaan. Natsu was taken to the cave where Ignia was waiting for him, calling him his brother, but Natsu doesn't accept Ignia as his brother. Natsu and Ignia had a good stare down until Natsu goes in for a punch, but Ignia stopped him, telling him he will kill him last. But Natsu is willing to kill him at the moment. Ignia doesn't want to fight Natsu, and he ordered Bestia to chain him in the flames that he can't eat. Ignia showed Natsu what is happening on the surface and that everyone is dealing with the destruction around them. Ignia takes his leave and disappears, leaving Natsu trapped and powerless. Bestia claims that she has envy for Natsu for grabbing Ignia's attention, but Natsu ignores that fact and he asks her where they're at, and she claims that they're in a dimension of her creation. Natsu noticed something about the flames surrounding him, and he started chewing down, which surprised Bestia. The more Natsu ate her flames, the more freaked out she gets. You know, I've seen people get surprised at Natsu for doing the unthinkable, but I've never seen anyone freak out like that. It's almost like there's a specific reason why Bestia doesn't want her flames to be eaten. Now, while eating, Natsu is watching the flames on monitors and asks what's happening with Alderaan. Bestia does answer him while still freaking out that he's eating her flames. Natsu sees Elfman and told him to watch out, but he can't hear him. Elfman and the demon headbutt each other, but cause Elfman pain while the demon is unfazed. The demon asks Elfman what love is to him. Elfman answered that he loves his sister Mira and Lizana and Evergreen. Ha! I knew it! But he didn't finish Evergreen's name and said he loves the guild. The demon's love is his devotion to Ferris as he swung over Elfman. The demon jumps into the air as Richard noticed what he's going to do, and that he's going to be releasing his love annihilation, which is the same spell that took down Richard. But Elfman transforms into a beast that can avoid that destruction, and he jumps towards the demon and says the phrase, "Love is men." Yep, that's Elfman for you. He took down the demon as we saw both Elfman and Natsu smile to the demon's defeat. Elfman knocked down his opponent, but it was only a short victory. He was been consumed by the earth magic created by the enemy. Meanwhile, Mira is dealing with her opponent as she soon discovered that the demon that she's fighting against has demonic asset that melts everything away. So Mira summoned her Satan soul, and after a small clash, she transformed into her Sayla form and used Makarel to force the demon to melt herself. But it is discovered that she's immune to her own power. Now, I would say it would make sense considering she's one to create this power, but the thing is, I have seen enemies defeated by their own powers, so it's actually kind of rare for someone to be immune. Mira uses the Makarel once again to keep her opponent from moving and then striked her with a kick, but the demon turned herself into acid. Mira was about to use another Mako, but the demon's acid was using all of the oxygen in the atmosphere, taking away Mira's capability of breathing, and the demon attacked her with the acid bomb. Elfman was consumed by a pile of rocks surrounding him, but then he noticed something. Richard and the demon were staring at him confused, and we see an image of Alderaan, and that is when Elfman realized what he can do. He can absorb parts of Alderaan using his takeover beast magic. Both Richard and the demon didn't think he could do that, and Elfman claimed that Alderaan is kind of a beast. Well, technically he's a dragon, but I'm pretty sure they're the same thing. Or you could say they're also considered monsters, but they're also technically kind of the same thing. Now we have Mira surviving the blast as she used her takeover magic to absorb melting ability to take down a demon with the demon form of Algeria, and at the same time Elfman took down the other demon. Both demons turned into books, leaving both Mira and Elfman into victory. The black substance has spread all throughout Galtina, turning everyone into dragons. And here we see Freed and Mess witnessing the event. They later transported back into the Fairy Tale Guild, reporting to Makarov about the situation happening in Galtina. Freed indicating that Alderaan is the source of the cause, and defeating him again will stop the black substance. The other members are concerned about the situation, but they can't really do anything about it but leave it up to Natsu and the other group, including Team B and the Erasion 6. But Loxus goes MIA and makes his way towards Galtina, where he's looking over the horizon, and along the way he runs into Misfortune. She seemed to be upset about not stopping Ignia. Loxus gave her a hand, but she was afraid she will burn him. But Loxus didn't seem to mind since he's used to the fire. I am assuming that he's used to Natsu's fire. Misfortune told Loxus about Ignia, and once he heard his name, Loxus asked Misfortune location of the fire dragon god. Now it cuts to Alderaan and the others, with Natsu witnessing from multiple screens, and he spoke to Bessie about her teammates being taken down, but she replies that they are Ferris's minions. She also noticed Natsu has freed his arms from the flame prison, as she was surprised that Natsu has been eating the fire the whole time. And then he noticed something about that fire. He remembered the time when Miss Fortune told him about Bestia's flames that are special and they can boost his powers. He sniffs the flames and realized they smell the same as Ignil's flames, and Bestia seems to have that concerning expression. Natsu thinks that she is the reincarnation of Ignil, but she told him that he was mistaken and she was about to tell him but got interrupted by a flash of light. It was Miss Fortune, and right behind her was Loxus coming out of a portal. Bestia was wondering how they enter her dimension, as it turns out that Miss Fortune used Akar Aura as the same ability as Toka can use. Wait, she can do that? Bestia started to get annoyed about them doing whatever they want in her dimension. Loxus told Natsu they had to leave, and Natsu thanks Bestia for the flames as he's ready to take on Ignil with his new power boost. Natsu is at full power with his new fire that he obtained from Bestia, and she explained that the flames were from Ignil, but not from the dragon himself, but from Natsu. Bestia mentioned that they have met before and told Natsu to look back into his memories where he used Ignil's powers before. He remembers fighting against Zeref with Ignil's power that he obtained from training for 1 year. Natsu gave off an expression that Loxus noticed, but he doesn't remember anything about Bestia. She explained that she's part of Zeref's army. Natsu was shocked to hear as she explained that she was a researcher. She was fascinated by the magic that Natsu had left behind that day. She restored the power and wanted to make it her own. However, she can't utilize it, therefore she can't be all-powerful with it. She said that Ignil found her, and she doesn't explain how they met, but it might be something we will learn later on. Loxus thought it was just a coincidence that he found her, and Natsu realized that he ate the flames that she restored. Natsu gets all happy with her, thinking she's a good person. Bestia didn't expect him to get that power back, and she goes into a rage as she now sees Natsu as a threat to Ignil with that power. Natsu and Loxus stand their grounds. Bestia asks if there is an issue if she worked for either Zeref or Ignil. Natsu said that serving someone isn't fun, but being a guild is better, with a grin on his face. Loxus mentioned that their guild master is like a father to them, but Bestia could care less as she caused destruction around them. Loxus needs Miss Fortune to make a portal, but she can't because Bestia has sealed off the dimension. Bestia won't let anyone escape, and Loxus seems worried, but Natsu stood his ground and unleash the power that he's regained, and we get a 2-spread page of Natsu releasing that power to take down Bestia. Now that Bestia is taken down, Miss Fortune will be able to open a portal, but then something happened to Natsu as he felt unconscious after the flames disappeared. Bestia said that he rapidly ingested that power, which caused him to pass out. Loxus grabbed Natsu and all 3 of them portal to Lucy and the others, and they are glad that Natsu was found, but they're also surprised to see Loxus there. Loxus asked what's going on, and Elsuria said that the ground has been tempered with dark matter that caused everyone to turn to dragons, and if they touch the ground, they will be affected. Loxus wants to know if they're going to be okay, and Urza explained to him if Eldaron is defeated, they will be saved, and Loxus is willing to pay his debt by going after Eldaron with Natsu. Now, before ending this video, there are some things I want to go over within this volume. First off, I do like the speech of Natsu when he's talking to Wed about fighting for survival for his friends and for himself. Although the entire guild have good people in it, they really don't fight for justice, peace, or humanity, or even the world. I like how writers give the realistic fact in their mangas. The world is a difficult place, and you gotta do what you gotta do. I believe that is what I got from the speech. Another thing I want to talk about are the new characters who are the dragons that struggle to fight against Acnologia from 400 years ago that Igneous recently revived. It is always nice to see new characters, and it would be interesting to understand the stories of each one and their abilities. Not to mention their names are unique. There's the Sea Prison Dragon, which suggests that he's a water dragon. There's the Rock Soul Dragon, could be the Earth Dragon, and this one's a bit weird. He's called the Scissor Sound Dragon. So I'm kinda interested in what his abilities are. I can guess that maybe he can cut his enemies down with the sound of the winds or something. But there is one called the Life Jail Dragon, another another interesting ability that I'm willing to learn. And then lastly, we got the Earth Mother Dragon. You know, honestly, out of all the dragons, I think this one I find the most interesting just by her name. So I am curious about how Natsu and the others are gonna handle these guys. Then there's the fight with Ferris and Bestia, which should have been a little more interesting if they were given more screen time. Of course, that's just my own opinion. And is there going to be a fight between Ferris and Ignia? Because I am curious about how that battle is going to go down. Now, another thing I wanted to point out is the fact that the lacrimas that the cruise destroys were nothing but decoys, as Ferris mentioned back in chapter 194. I thought it was strange that some of the lacrimas were easy to destroy, so I just brushed it off and thought it was just lazy writing. But I guess I must have misread the situation and quickly jumped to that conclusion. And also, after seeing the members of the Dabos in that one panel, I completely forgot about them till recently. You would think they would come and help their master or even help out the Fairy Tail members, considering the fact that it's a dragon problem and they're all dragon slayers, right? So what gives? I'd be happy they made a comeback later on in the series, but honestly, in my opinion, they could have helped a lot more in the last few volumes. But that aside, we also get more information on Ignia's true goal, something that's been foreshadowed and hyped up. This reminds me of a revolution, but it's a tad different because there won't be any laws, ethics, or religions, which are the things that only apply to humans. But I think Ignia is just doing it for his own amusement. So whatever I said earlier doesn't really apply to him. I thought I'd just point those out. There's also speculation and ideas of Misfortune becoming Lox's companion, and it's funny seeing Free being all jealous that his spot might be taken. Now the next subject is the identity of Bestia in this volume. Now there has been a lot of theories and speculations about her, assuming that she's just another member that Ignio picked up to join his guild. But after chapter 197 titled The Flame's Will, we learn a little bit more about her and that she's actually has more connection to not only Ignia, but also Ignio. It is identified by Natsu that her and Ignio have the same flames, which piques more of my curiosity about who she is. There are theories of her being Ignio's wife and the mother of Ignia, or maybe she's also a child of Ignio, or that she's Ignia's sister, or maybe she's Ignio's sister. But it turns out that wasn't the case at all. In fact, she has no relationship with Ignio, but a researcher who was studying magic and restored Ignio's magic that Natsu left behind and made it her own. Now that was kind of a twist I was expecting, but I am willing to read what will happen next in volume 23. Thanks for watching, and if you like, you can subscribe and hit that like button. And please leave a comment about your thoughts about this volume, and I'll see you all next time.